Hey everyone, Matty here from DCLblogger.com. I haven't done a video like this in a while, but I'm going to be doing a land sale analysis market update kind of video. I know it's been so long since I've done this, but we've been seeing some sales volume pick up in the last few days, in the last week. We've had a really big spike of sales, so I just wanted to go through the lands that did sell and what this means. Kind of compare it to the sales in the last few weeks, the sales after the launch, and kind of the market sentiment at the moment. Uh, Hopefully this is recording properly. So yeah, so there's some really big sales, right? So in I think a 6 to 7 hour period, we had a pretty big whale come through. So if I were to just click on Landbot, which is a really good product by niftex.com, it's kind of like a Twitter bot that keeps you updated on the most recent land sales. If I scroll all the way down here and go to the larger estates that sold, so you can see here a couple of really big estates pretty much in the same location. So we're looking at this location here, okay? So this is the southeast area of Decentraland. This estate here and this estate here, they don't really look like that much from a bird's eye perspective, but Decentraland is really, really big, and each little pixel or parcel of land is about 16 by 16 meters, okay? So something like this. So this was one of mine that actually sold, but before mine sold, this one sold. Dragon City Estate, 64 pieces, sold for 1.3 million mana. My one sold as well for around 1.37 million mana. So a collective of about 2.7 million mana just in these two estates happened in the very same day, along with a few others. Again, this one connected to Dragon City once again. So Dragon City? Yeah, so Dragon City is a really big district, Chinese district, which is predominantly supposed to be kind of going through Chinese heritage. It's kind of going to have its own kind of games and different things within it, different Chinese experiences. They have their own lead and their own team. So it's a pretty well anticipated district, right? So I'm assuming the person who bought this must be someone who is interested in this community, in the Chinese community, because a lot of the estate buying and assets that were purchased, the lands that were bought, were around this area, and it actually happened just after the Binance kind of COVID event that Decentraland are hosting. So Decentraland are hosting this kind of contribution to donate Ethereum and kind of get these wearables where you can get these COVID masks, and this money is going to be part of the Binance charity auction that they're holding to bring money to the COVID funds. Okay, so this is kind of Decentraland's event to help that. But after Decentraland tweeted this and had this ready, really soon after is when we kind of saw those sales. So I'm not sure if those sales came from maybe a new whale that was from the Binance side of things. But anyway, the momentum continued. They bought those. They bought this really big estate, so 22 parcels of land for 440,000 mana, connected to a double road. And I think a few others. So these little couple of pieces, again, connected to Dragon City, connected to Dragon City, near Dragon City. So a lot of this sales activity, again, if you go to nonfungible.com, you go over here, you can see that the buyer on these addresses was the same. It was actually a different buyer for these ones, okay. But a lot of this activity happened at the same time. And when we look at this really cool kind of graph I always keep referring to, mydcl.net/stats, you can see the massive peak in sales, 3.4 million mana. A lot of this activity was before the launch of Decentraland, which was the Feb 20th, right? So the lead up to the launch, you can see quite a lot of sales activity. Launch happens, buzz dies down as it does, and then we kind of had this period, and we had this really big spike in sales, another slow period, and this really big spike in sales. So it's really important to note that the fact is that sales volume has been decreasing from the larger kind of overview, in the sense that not many people are kind of trading lands for profit anymore. I feel like a lot of the sentiment has kind of moved towards building content on Decentraland. I know I used to buy and sell lands a lot, right? And now it's kind of just reaching out to companies, seeing if they can build within Decentraland. And that kind of stuff. So maybe that results in lesser land volume because people are less interested in buying and selling, but more interested in buying big pieces of land, getting involved in building. So hopefully in the next few months, we should see land or content deployed on this. I can't imagine people just buying for investment purposes anymore when a lot of the Twitter sentiment and the kind of the Twitter stuff that you see is not about buying and selling land. It's a lot about content and what's actually being developed in Decentraland. So my concern was that once we go launch and people realize Decentraland is really, really buggy, is the kind of momentum going to keep up? Are people still going to be interested in buying in Decentraland and building? And I think for the first week or two, we saw not much activity, and I think that was because of all the bugs and the fact that the Decentraland event was kind of laggy and all that kind of stuff. But we've improved quite a lot since then. It's a lot more clearer. There was way better builds happening, more galleries popping up, a lot of people getting involved in building things. So I think that should kind of attract larger investors that are interested in building good experiences. So hopefully we'll see what happens. But 3.4 million mana is actually quite a lot. I think this was our record, 3.47. So is this actually beating that? Or 3.43, so just under. But 3.4 million mana, it kind of just like threw us right back to the top of the DApp rankings in OpenSea. I think we were at 850 Ethereum a couple of days ago. Now we're at 750 Ethereum. We have Somnium Space that are holding land sales as well. They've done 438 Ethereum. That's quite a lot actually. Crypto Voxel 320 Ethereum. So what's this? The 3 land metaverse projects right at the top, up there. What's it called? I think the Sandbox also has done some decent volume. Not sure if it's being shown here. But yeah, I mean, metaverse projects are quite healthy. People are buying land and building on them. And as they build land, they contribute to the ecosystem and that grows. So what's kind of a good deal in Decentraland? Like, how is the land market actually doing? Apart from that, we kind of saw like the trend seems to be less on trading and more in building stuff. So I think if you're able to buy lands that are larger estates or have higher value, it's not going to sell very quickly, but when people come on board looking for projects or land sizes to purchase, if you have something attractive, it will get picked up. I think the larger estates like my ones here or this one over here, they're going to get more and more rare. There's not many like estates that are over 30, 40 pieces. So this one here, especially over 50 pieces. There's actually not that many that are for sale over 50 pieces. So this is about 33 pieces, I think, 32 pieces. Like where are the 50 plus pieces for sale? So there's this really large one. I think this one is 69 pieces, 88 pieces. This is mine. Another one here. So when larger investors come and they really want big pieces of land, there's not that many. So I think in terms of supply and demand, if you are one of the holders of these larger estates, you have something rare. It might take some time to sell, but when it does, you should be able to fetch a pretty good price for it. There's really a handful. I think there's only like 10 all up, but they don't move very quickly. So anyway, let's kind of go to the cheapest lands. The cheapest lands at the moment are 13,300 mana. They kind of bounce around between 13 and 15,000 mana. But they sell pretty frequently at around the 13,000 mana price. You can see these are the most recent sales. We've got 12.7, 13.5. So the lands I'm looking at are not really close to anything. So you can see this one here is in the far west side. This one's here is in the far south. This one is close to a couple of roads and stuff. That's why it's demanding a bit more of a higher price. Same case here, 15.6. This one's a little bit more near some districts, but still on the outskirts, 131 coordinates. Considering 150 is right at the edge. This one was mine, I think, sold for 16,000 mana, a little bit more than 13 and 14,000 because it's in the middle of districts. But 13,000 mana is around the price for the cheapest areas, which is kind of staying strong at that. Like we've gone down quite hard. Decentraland, in terms of mana, has gone down to like 2.5 to 3 cents, as opposed to 6 or 7 cents it was back when it was during the launch. So I really hope I'm not having any audio disturbances right now. So I mean, like, it's the fact that it's holding strong in terms of mana at 13,000 mana. It's interesting because as these parcels get bought up, slowly the land prices rise. So 13,300 at the end of this one page, we're going to find ourselves, I think, back to 15,000 mana. So 3, 6, 9, 12. Normally it's 12 lands per page. Brings us back up to around the 15,000 mana mark, and we should be starting to go past 15,000 mana. But it's great that now I think what's happening is the people that are buying land are building on it. So hopefully we should see a little bit less sales volume, but more people building cool content, which is going to be interesting to measure. So those are in terms of lands what's happening. Every now and then you can get a pretty good deal. I think, like for example, this one over here, 23,000 mana, you're getting something pretty central, only 37. So anything within the 50-50 coordinates is considered central. Anything connected to a road network is a little bit more valuable. So you have something around the 22 to 23,000 mana mark, something central that's sold. Usually these go for about 30,000 mana plus. We had a couple more good deals. I know that land connected to this Decentraland sign historically has gone over 20,000, so this one's something at 19,000 mana. It wasn't too bad. This one's connected to a double, it has a double side of single roads. So this parcel has two sides that is connected to the road, and that sold for 18,000 mana, which is not too bad. If we keep going down, 13,000 mana, again, not really connected to anything. 19.5, okay, I don't know why that sold for 19,500 mana. 39,000 because it's a little bit closer to the Genesis Plaza, but still 39,000 mana is quite a lot. So those are the average prices. Estates, again, I don't think the problem with estates is the larger the estate, the more money that needs to come to, the larger the person that's investing, the more money they need to have to invest. So the liquidity really isn't there for larger estates, but when they do sell, they sell at pretty decent prices. The larger one, so this one here sold for, this 55 piece sold for, I think, 25,000 mana a piece, and this one sold for a little bit less than that. But that's not too bad, but there's value there because it's a massive district, a massive estate connected to the district and the edge, which is a single road. So, I mean, that's a pretty good price. Right, so that's the land market at the moment. I mean, rankings wise, we're kind of at the top. We fluctuated between about 150 Ethereum to around 600, 700 Ethereum over the last few weeks. So it's kind of good to see us every now and then, especially now that people are still buying land past the launch, which shows that there's still interest in buying. I wanted to go back to my Twitter profile and quickly go through this cool little snippet of information that Decentraland are going to be releasing some sort of app or information as to how we are doing as landowners. So we can, it'll show us who's the operator, so who's been given permissions to build, who's, you know, how many weekly visits we're getting. We're also, I think there's going to be more metrics than this to help us with retention. So we know, it's kind of like a website, right? So if you have a website, you need to know how often people are coming back. It'll be really cool to see if there's some way to track how much money is kind of coming in to your wallet. So maybe you'll be able to hook up your wallet and maybe hook that up with Decentraland, and it'll tell you how much money you're earning, and then you can kind of break that down as to how much visits you're having per earning, and then, you know, it might be really interesting metric to kind of work off if that's the base of it. So knowing that Decentraland are kind of working on this kind of a product to help us grow metric-wise and understand the numbers, because we really have to understand the growth numbers in order to grow, right? So that's a really interesting thing that's coming up. But if you see, like my Twitter, a lot of it has really got to do with stuff that's being built. There's a really cool like little club that was made here. Baby Yoda over there. We have Groot dancing away. It's pretty cool. But a couple of different things. We have a competition coming up. So some of us have gotten together and created this little project, which is kind of a community effort to build and bring competitive Decentraland events to Decentraland. So there's a bunch of us that probably recognize some of these names: DCL Plazas, DCL Blogger, the Block Runner. Most of us are in pretty good connection with each other. We Skype call every now and then and try and figure out what the next step is. But basically, we want to bring events to Decentraland. So if you guys are building cool stuff in Decentraland and want to make some sort of a competitive type of thing to it, we can bring sponsors and have some sort of a proper kind of branding push to build that sort of awareness for your project. So if you built a club or if you built some sort of a game, get in touch with us. Let us know, and we'll see if we can bring the community awareness there. And if you can build a really cool thing, then a really cool project, then we can bring the, we can make it into an official event. So I want to bring more of a competitive nature to Decentraland, and bring some sort of like a 5 versus 5, the soccer event that's coming up, singing events. There's going to be a fashion show really, really soon. So wait for further details on that, where we're going to be we're going to be wearing wearables, and we're going to have judges giving us scores, and you're going to win prizes. So mythic wearables, there's going to be mana to win, there's going to be all sorts of things to win, and sort of stuff like that, which kind of gets the community together and has us playing different things. So that's that. So far, I think it's great to see more of a content-driven approach. I'm going to keep making these videos in terms of sales, but I doubt Decentraland will continue to have high volume sales, because people that are buying it are not really selling it, they're actually building on it. It's not really just a buy and sell kind of game anymore. So that's interesting. Keep in touch, and I'll see you in another video.